whole year. And he wears a monitor on his little foot. And so when he stops breathing, they can know that he has stopped breathing. I mean, I just as a grandparent, I can't imagine having a child who just randomly stops breathing. But that's our baby Lars, and he's doing so well. They are hoping that by his first birthday, they may be able to try laying him down flat and see if that can work. This is little Larsie. If he is not crying, he is smiling. He is the happiest child. He is always smiling and happy unless he's in pain. And his little sister, his big sister, is so proud, and she's just so cute too. It's Juliana. So God is so merciful, and you know, even with all the hard things, right? There's always something to be thankful for. There's a saying, there is always, always, always something for which to be thankful. And so all through the curves of life, we can know that this is true. I don't know how many of you like roller coasters. In fact, I would like raise a hand if you like roller coasters. Oh, okay, it's about a third of you. That's what I kind of expected, about a third. I really hate roller coasters. To me, that looks real pretty right there. But this is more like how I experience it. Just sheer terror. So all the years when we were raising kids, we would go to the amusement parks, and I would stay with the strollers or the stuff, you know, the kids would go and take on the roller coaster. And then we were empty nesters at an amusement park, and he said, okay, let's go on the roller coaster. And I'm saying, okay, you go, I'll just wait here. And he goes, Marnie, you have to go with me. You're the only one that can. And I'm like, well, no, that's true. So, it's not that I think I'm going to die. I don't. I just don't like how they make me feel. I just don't like it. And so I said, okay. So we get in the roller coaster. I'm getting all strapped up and all belted up and everything. You know, the thought has occurred to me many times, you would be absolutely insane to ride one of those unless you knew you were belted in, right? Unless you knew you were secure, right? But I knew I was, and so I just grabbed the handlebars. And then I had this thought before we started. I was really scared. I was not scared to die, just didn't want to feel that way. And so I was hanging on, and I had this thought, oh, they take that dumb picture. Somewhere along the line, you know, they just snap. And some of those go on Funniest Home Videos because they're really so funny. And I thought, I don't want that to be me, so I'm just going to smile all the way through. So that's what I did. I just did this whole thing. You know what? It really made a difference. I had more fun than I thought I could. And unbelievably, I want you to look at this picture. Is he not having a ball? You know, our daddy, he wants us to be willing to just walk along with him, or to let him just throw us so high we think we'll never touch the ground again. That's what God's asking us to do. And I have to just tell you that it was just last Saturday morning that God said, you're not smiling, Marnie. See, I have been sick for about a month. I've had laryngitis for 3 weeks. Typically preparing for a weekend like this where I speak, I sing, I talk to you in places where you have to talk louder because it's usually, because I have so much trouble with my voice over the years, I usually would start a month in advance, and I would spend minutes every day, usually 20 to 30 minutes, just singing really loud, and other minutes shouting like I was at a football game to prepare. So imagine me last weekend still having barely any voice. And I had asked God, can I just call Pat and let her know that this may not go the way we think? And God's like, no. And I asked 3 times, and all the time, every time it was just trust me. And I said, one day, can I like make a fallback plan? Just in case I have no voice next weekend? Just trust me. And Saturday, I was like, God, this is just so hard. And he just said, Marnie, you're buckled in. You're holding on. You're just not smiling. It makes all the difference, you guys, to actually trust him. To actually trust him. We say we trust him. We think we trust him. But our actions and our attitudes reveal whether we really are. I'm the kind of person that if I don't get enough sleep, I walk into walls, literally. I mean, I have to have sleep. And so in 2006, 16, it was the first time God asked me to travel to countries that were in different time zones significantly. I was like, that could never work. I don't know how. I mean, I can imagine getting there, and I can imagine getting home, but I can't actually imagine speaking and making sense. And so it took a lot of courage and faith to go, but that was just the preparation, because by 2019, right before COVID, God had me do this trip around the world all by myself, where I spoke 26 times at 6 conferences in 4 countries, including the day that I spoke in Rwanda. And I in the morning, I had a gal that came in to speak with me from Australia, and we had just met there. And in the morning, I said, I think I got to change this up. I know we're supposed to be doing a business women's conference, but just I cannot get past the thought that I have to do the cross of Christ first, the reconciliation that comes from the cross of Christ. And she's like, yeah, just go for it. So I get into the program, and it's my turn. I stand up to speak, and I said, we're going to teach you such good business skills and strategies and principles here in just a little bit. But first, before I do, I just have something I need you to know. And I started into this talk about how Christ went to the cross, and just about then, a delegation of soldiers and military leaders and government officials came in the back door. And so I stopped and wondered what this was. And all I did was I just looked at the pastor, and I just went like this, and I went and sat down. And he came up, and first he went to them, and then he brought them all up. And then they spoke in Swahili, and I didn't know what they said. And then several of the officials sat down on the platform, like right there. And then the pastor said to me, go ahead. It's like, really? Well, okay. So, because it had been so clear to me in the morning that the cross of Christ was what I was supposed to teach first, I thought, this is no accident. And so I did, and I talked about how when Jesus went to the cross, he was betrayed by those that were closest to him. Remember, I'm saying this in Rwanda. And little did I know that it was the 25th anniversary of genocide in Rwanda. And I talked about how he had been tortured and he had been killed, even though he was innocent. And that he forgave the people that had done that. In fact, he forgave us, because we were the ones that did it. Well, after the program was done, then a couple of the officials pulled me aside and just said, you came for such a time as this. This is what we need in Rwanda today. How long are you going to be here? Where can we put you next? I'm sorry, I'm leaving in 2 days. But it's just, when you let God do it, he does it, ladies. He doesn't do it in a little way. Sometimes he does it in a big way. And sometimes he has you in a hospital room because the nurse that comes in needs a little of Jesus right that minute. You don't know. I mean, I was on the airplane coming here. Literally, I stood up to go to the bathroom. That's what I was doing. And I just walked down the aisle, and I was going to go to the bathroom, but somebody was in there ahead of me, so I had to wait for a moment. And there's a flight attendant right here beside me. And so we just started, talking a moment, and she said, why are you going to Minnesota? And I said, well, I'm a speaker, and I'm going to go speak at a conference. Oh, what do you speak about? So I just told her, I just used the analogy of the straw, and I said, I talk about the Bible, but actually, a lot of Christians think that we're supposed to be coming up with what's in the glass. That's just not what God says at all. He says we're supposed to be the straw, and we're supposed to stay in the glass that's full of him. Because when I am in the glass that's full of Jesus, and somebody sucks on my life, I have plenty for them, and I have Jesus for them. But when I am in the cup of what I can come up with, sometimes it is toxic, and I run out anyway. And she said, well, one thing for sure, you sure got me thinking about Jesus. Then we went on and talked some more, but I just want to tell you, wherever you are, whatever you think you're doing, Jesus can use you right there in that moment. That's what we're talking about, being a flow-through vessel, being the kind of vessel that is full of him and just letting him flow through us. There's so many different kinds of flow-through vessels. I love the analogy of an elevator. You know, when I get on an elevator, I press a button and the elevator doesn't say, I don't want to go to that floor. It doesn't take me to a different floor. It takes me to the floor I pressed. It takes me where I need to go. And when people get on the ride of our life, where do we take them? Do we take them where they need to go? Or do we take them where we want to go in that moment? Sometimes I think they want to go up and we take them down. You know, just there's so many analogies. And in the book I have just a ton of these. But the key is that we live on this side of the cross. And this in 2022, ladies, is the most amazing. I keep saying this over and over. I'm so happy I live on this side of the cross. Because in the Old Testament, we watch God create life, give men free will, and faithfully father them as they navigated the results of their choices. In Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, we experience the closeness of Emmanuel, God with us in the human form of Jesus. But right now, after the cross, from John 20:22, I love that, to 2022 and beyond, we enjoy the presence of the Holy Spirit living inside of us. And he desires to flow through us. And you know, all it takes for us to not let him flow through is to just shut him out. He is always with you. He never leaves you. If you've trusted Jesus, boom, he is here. He's sealed you. You are safe. He's not going anywhere. But I tell you what, this can go a lot of places that he doesn't want to go, or that he isn't taking me, right? And the key is just to get submerged back in him. And how do you do that? Somebody tell me one thing that you can do to get back submerged into Jesus when you're out. What?
You renew your mind.
Renew your mind? What's a quick thing you can do?
Open up your Bible.
How about just confess? Oh, sorry. Sorry, just get back in. Just get back in. And then even a thought. I mean, one of my favorite ways to get back in is to just say Jesus, 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 Jesus. My parents had been up to visit in our home in Warroad, and my dad, he is such a trooper. He is like killing himself working up and down this huge flight of stairs, moving shelves, moving stuff around, sweating. He'd go home in the afternoon, take a nap, and come back and work some more. And they went home on Saturday, and then to Minneapolis. We were up in Warroad, about a 7-hour drive. And on Monday, we drove down to go to a buyer's show, and we had arranged that we would go to their house for supper. And so we're coming into town, and I called my mom, and she said, yep, Dad's outside. He's got a nice supper planned for you. We'll see you about 6 o'clock. And so we went into our buyer's show. We come back out of the buyer's show, and I noticed I had a call. It was a big metal building. I noticed I had a call that I missed, and so I listened to the message. And the message said this: Marnie, your dad is dead. Click. I was like, there was a lady that was looking at me, and she just said, ma'am, are you okay? And I said, I don't think so. And Dave came over about right then, and he said, what's going on? And I said, well, that was just a message, and it just said that Dad died. I don't understand. I don't think it can be true, but he said, let's go. So we started making our way out to the van, and all I could think was Jesus, 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 Jesus. And you know, before I ever reached the van, God spoke to my heart. And here's what I realized. I didn't even hear him say anything. I just turned to Dave and I said, Dave, if it's true that my dad is dead, then that means he got exactly what he asked for. This is not what I would have wanted. But ever since I was a little girl and my dad had 4 girls and no boys, he would say over and over to us, I just hope I don't become a burden on you girls. I just hope I don't become a burden on you girls. And when he died at 72, he didn't. And it wasn't what we wanted, but it was exactly what he wanted. And God gave him that. He gave him the answer to his prayer. And I grieved for my dad, and I still miss my dad. But I did not grieve the same way I would have without that word from God. And why did I get to have one? Because Jesus made a way for us to actually hear from the Spirit, who lives inside of us and is with us to be our comforter. It is so wonderful. Before the cross, Jesus told his disciples, now the Spirit lives with you, because the Spirit was in Jesus and around them, but now the Spirit lives with you, but will be in you. And after the cross, Jesus breathed on them and said, receive the Holy Spirit. Jesus said, it would be better for you if I go, because then the Spirit can be with all of you all of the time. And they couldn't understand that, but now we can understand that. It's this difference right here. It's the difference between having him with you or having him in you. That's a big difference. I love this poem, but I have a little problem with it. It's a little misleading. Jesus does walk with us. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. But he walks with us differently now after the cross. There is no two sets of footprints and then one, because he's carrying us. There is always one. He's always carrying us. He is always with us. He is always right there, one thought away. And when I'm too scared and I can't say Jesus, 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 I just say God, 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 until I can get to the 2 syllables. And you can do that too. Every emotion comes from God. We don't fully trust God because we think we can do it without him. Because we don't think he can do it without us. Because we don't think he wants to help. Or because we don't want to give it to him. You have some homework that I'm going to send out with you, but before you even think about that, I want to just give you the analogy, and then I'm going to have you do a trust worksheet with God on your own. The analogy is the stages of trust you have with a boss. So you get a new job, and you don't trust your boss. You're just getting to know your boss. So you would not reveal anything like questionable at all to your boss. You don't trust him. But as you go along, you begin to trust your boss with caution. If that boss shows himself trustworthy, you trust him with a little more of your heart, a little more of yourself, a little more of your family. And then, as the boss shows himself trustworthy, you will sometimes ask him for his opinion about something that isn't really related directly to him training you for your job or her. And you start trusting him because he's in a position of authority over you, maybe a little older than you, and you start to just trust him with a few things. And as you go on, you trust them to help you at work. So you even say, I know it's not my job description, but could you teach me how to do that? And the next level is that you trust the boss to help you serve others. So you may have someone who comes to you and wants something that you don't have the authority to give, but you really believe that this person needs it. And so you go to your boss and you say, I know this is out of the ordinary, but would you ever consider making an exception for this person? And the last way is that you trust your boss at work, and you trust him personally, and you invite them over for your kids' birthday parties or for Christmas, and your boss really becomes your friend. Well, this is how we go with God. There are 6 trust levels that we have with God. And the first one at the bottom is you don't know God, you don't trust him, and that's just that. And then you begin to trust God like as a last resort. Foxhole prayers, right? Okay, so you really are desperate, and so you call out to God. The next level is God's opinion is occasionally invited. You think, I just really don't know what to do here. Maybe I should just ask God. Kind of as a little bit of an afterthought when you just couldn't figure it out yourself. The number 4 is God is trusted to flow through me for me. Oh, God, help me with this. Oh, God, answer me that. Oh, God, do this for me. Oh, God, take care of this. Oh, God, I'm worried about that. And you trust him for how he can help you. That's level 4. Level 5, God trusted to flow through you for the sake of others, for the benefit of others. This is where you trust him enough to take the hand of someone who's hurting and say, can I pray for you? My sister and I meet when we can, when we're both in town and healthy, we meet every Thursday morning at a point halfway between the 2 of us, which is at a McDonald's. And we bring our computers, and we sit there and we work together for about 2.5 or 3 hours. And we go to the same McDonald's most of the time. This week, when one of the girls walked by, Angie walked by to go to the bathroom, I could tell that her back was hurting. And I grabbed her hand and I said, Angie, your back's hurting. She said, it really, really is. I said, can we pray for you? So we just, right there in the McDonald's, just prayed for Angie. I'm telling you, it takes a lot of courage and trust to pray for somebody else, and you don't know what the answer's going to be. That's another level of trust. And then the last level is to trust God to use you for His delight. There's nothing our kids can do to please us more than to do something that they know would please us, but it isn't what they would have chosen. If you go back to the squiggly line, that's what God's asking you to do every single time it squiggles. He's asking you to call on Him, to let Him help you, so that He can be glorified in your mess. No mess, no message. No test, no testimony. No cross, no Christ. Christ is the name used for Jesus mostly after the resurrection. Let Him be who He is. We're going to go ahead and close this session with the theme song for this weekend. It's a song I wrote. God gave it to me before the book was done. And it talks about the 4 R's, so recognize, release, receive, and respond. And we are going to actually spend time tomorrow morning learning those. But if you would right now, stand with me, and I'm going to teach you this song. And for sure you can sing along on the chorus because it's very easy. But sing along on as much of it as you can.